Hey, what's up, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to the Pitlane Podcast, episode 118 today, to discuss the Monaco Grand Prix, preview the Canadian Grand Prix, and also talk about a lot of F1 news, because there's been plenty knocking around from this gap from Monaco to Canada. Back with you as your host, myself, Aarav, Callum, and Tom. I know it's been a while, apologies for that, but we're here. I mean, obviously, that's why we have the instant race reaction, sort of give you a reaction still after the race, even if we can't get around to recording a full podcast, because all three of us are very busy these days in our lives. But here we are then, talk some F1. Callum, we missed you on the instant race reaction, so let's go straight to you then about what you thought of Monaco. Me and Tom echoed the same thing. Pretty damn decent for a Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah, in general, I mean, I really enjoyed Monaco. You have to take it with a bit of a pinch of salt because, you know, it's Monaco and the cars are a bit too wide and the cars are a bit too quick for that circuit now. So as much as qualifying is getting better and better at Monaco, the races aren't really improving season on season. But this probably season was the exception. And that's only because of a bit of a Mercedes blunder. God knows what it would have been like if Hamilton was on the right tyres and not nursing a set of mediums for 68 laps, I think it was. It would have been quite dead, yeah. To say that, I think we've got to give our hand to Mercedes for putting on an interesting race, and got to give our hand to Verstappen, who drove a very, very mature race behind a Hamilton who's driving an even more mature race, trying to keep his worries under. God, I've never seen him worry so much in a Grand Prix before. I was like, calm down, mate. You're doing all right. You're doing all right so far. But I've got to give it to the front two because they put on a Grand Prix. Unlike really Bottas and Vettel, who were kind of moping around, just kind of driving the streets of Monaco like they were just driving a Sunday afternoon. But in general, one of the better Monaco Grand Prix. But apart from that, and apart from a big cock tease with the rain again, as per usual in Monaco, standard. Still not the best. Let's put it that way.
yeah. Standard.
I mean, me and Aarav spoke about the rain. Just 90% means nothing. Just forget about it.
Like 90%, though.
Don't even give yourself the smallest bit of hope that it's even going to happen. Just forget about it.
A 1 in 10 chance that it wouldn't rain.
I want to find the weatherman that gave the 90% number. Like,
me too.
Just ask him some questions like, right, first of all, do you know what 90% means? Like, it doesn't mean the 10% is the actual amount. It means you're saying 90%. I think that's maybe where he got confused. So, yeah, love it. You'll have to see it.
Yeah, you love to see it. But that's the problem, is because I think, but that's not the problem. It did kind of add another element, and you can kind of almost justify why Mercedes put the medium tyres on, because obviously those tyres would be a bit more grippy in slippery conditions. Because even with the rain, I think they said that the intensity of the rain wouldn't have forced them onto inters anyway, but it was that scenario where you want to be on the softest compound possible, because on the hards they just take too long to warm up in those sort of conditions, which you can understand. So there was lots of different elements, and to be fair, I mean, we needed that early safety car, and it did just plunge us into it's always an odd Grand Prix, Monaco. Like, we've got the Williams setting fastest lap to the Grand Prix because the front runners are going that slowly, and it's a very different sort of Grand Prix, and I don't know, you never see it. You never really see it, and it has called into question whether or not that's actual Formula One, and maybe we need to not even disappear from Monaco, but just alter the circuit a little bit, which I'm kind of against of. But I don't know. Annoyingly, I missed qualifying. I missed the best bit of the Grand Prix weekend.
Yeah,
which was a little bit annoying.
It's just Williams taking off the sandbags, mate. It's just that.
Oh,
really.
Finally, yeah.
That's what we saw on Sunday, right? They're going to turn up to Canada and they're going to be flipping fast. But
of course.
Yeah, that was a nice sum up, really, in Monaco. I don't think really me and Tom can add too much, really, in terms of in-depth review. It's been so many days now. I don't know if many of you guys even want to listen to a review of Monaco, because it kind of mouthwork is more on the news, really, that's happening in kind of previewing Canada, if you will. Is there any more to add there, Tom, perhaps, to Monaco?
No, I think that's quite complete.
Because actually, for once from a Grand Prix, there wasn't actually any alterations to the results or much fallout from any drivers, or like saying much in terms of any drama between two pairs, apart from maybe, I don't know, what was it? I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah, you kind of tried to highlight it, Tom, about Sainz's mega start. And finally, the actual onboards came out finally midweek, showing Sainz to start. And then, to be fair, just highlighted McLaren's great race there, actually. Like, Sainz and McLaren had such a good race. And actually,
a weekend as a whole.
Yeah, and a weekend as a whole. And it did kind of perk me up to the fact that, you know what, okay, I'll give them that. You know, they are building up a lot of momentum and some nice consistency here, actually being, you know, there of where they say they are and where the points show they are. And for now, they are the best of the rest team. So kudos to them.
Yeah.
Let's hope they continue in Canada.
They are
which could be very
fourth
well
now in the championship, aren't they?
It is a good point. Yeah, they are fourth. I was going to I wanted to mention it last week, but I forgot. But you know, we can't forget Sainz missed FP1 because he had an issue. So you know, around Monaco, it's the last track you want to be missing out on valuable track time. So missed out on FP1, and then obviously had the issues in FP3 where he finished FP3 in 15th, and then he somehow got all the way into Q3 and then finished race 6. So for me, you can't give. He would be driver of the weekend if that was a thing, not driver of the day. If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
But really good performance from him, and I think also, like I said, I mentioned the takeaway. I think quietly Ferrari's best weekend, considering how terrible it was and the fact that was their best result. And for once, they picked up the pieces instead of giving them away. You know, like. They actually
against all odds,
from Verstappen's penalty.
Vettel was the one that broke up the
within
1-2 train.
Though. I mean, I wouldn't be hounding that as Ferrari's best weekend of the year. Really.
Obviously relative. Bahrain was the best weekend they've had, apart from the failure.
Yeah, but it's still their best finish, so it depends how you look at it. I think, considering how miserable the weekend had been so far, I'm quite surprised they got second out of that weekend, to be honest.
Yeah, they got lucky to get
I think
second
it's more
out
luck,
of
more luck.
Yeah,
they got second
out of a Saturday that they didn't force that luck either. It was a pit stop battle that was interesting. I mean, obviously the news came out actually that apparently Bottas's pit stop was delayed by Hamilton because apparently he hit a wheel gun on the exit of his pit box, which was quite interesting. Right. But because apparently the Finnish media were like, "Oh my God, Hamilton ruined Bottas's race," but every other media was just like, "Yeah, Hamilton just hit accident," because it's quite tight. Did you know in Monaco? So
no, I didn't.
I never knew that, but like, it was just it was just really rather strange that of a weekend for Ferrari, especially with that Saturday. I mean, I came back to see the results and I was like, who? Like, I didn't know that like Ferrari had hit the wall about 9 times, and then even with Leclerc in the race, I did give him props for Grosjean's overtaking his start, but other than that, it was I tweeted out saying that his in-lap, for example, was probably one of the most reckless things I've seen in a while. Like, he did well, don't get me wrong. Like, people saying, he could be a rally driver doing that around the streets of Monaco, but he shredded his car to bits.
Yeah, no, he showed his immaturity there, for sure. I think, and people were trying to pick out that not many people were criticising him. I mean, I think people will criticise him definitely for that, because it was very hot-headed. It was stupid, because he broke the entire floor, like you said. He should have come back.
I mean, that happened to Alonso in Singapore 2017, after that start incident, and they retired the car instantly. Just because they were like, there's no floor left. There's literally no floor left at all.
And you saw Baku, Alonso, when he brought it back to the pits with 3 wheels, he was going a lot slower, trying to finesse the car around the corner.
Yeah, and
sure
he
didn't
destroy his car.
Yeah.
No, he had 2 wheels.
Two wheels. Yeah, sorry, 2 wheels. It was lopsided.
On the same side as well. On the same side.
Yeah.
So that just proves the immaturity there a little bit. But on the whole, I see where you're coming from, Tom, when it comes to the result. Very lucky to get second place around the streets of Monaco, let's put it that way.
Yeah, because let's not make no bones about it. Their car's nowhere near a second place finish. It should have been 4th at best. Mm-hmm. And with Leclerc, it'd be lucky to get in the points, on a smooth day, because you can't overtake that easily, let's be honest. No, and then also, there was just Vettel having incidents. Leclerc also didn't have the smoothest weekend. And both drivers didn't really... It just seems like they both kind of lacked that confidence. Again, maybe down to the car to really get the maximum out of it, because even Leclerc, before the qualifying issue happened, he wasn't smooth on his first run, hence why he needed to go back out again. If he had a smooth first run in qualifying, he wouldn't have had to go back out again. So it's all kind of lots of factors kind of coming into one. But I thought from Ferrari, you can't complain. Second place, I think they needed that, to be honest.
Yeah, especially and also with Verstappen as well. I actually feel really sorry for him. He really did deserve a podium, and he's never been on the podium in Monaco, which I felt quite bad, because I mean it's quite. Regarded as one of the best podiums, and he really did. I mean, I thought it was almost a race-winning sort of drive to hound someone for that long and actually try and make. And also
with a wrong torque mode as well. We found out after
the race. That was interesting.
He had a wrong torque mode. He was in the starting torque mode. Usually, you can only you can't change that whilst you're on track. You have to change it when you're stationary in the pits.
When did this happen recently with them? It happened not too long ago, didn't it? It rings a bell. I think it was like Mexico, not Mexico.
Maybe.
Towards the end of last year, I think they had something like this where they had the wrong start mode.
But wrong start maybe, but this was like a wrong race mode. Like he was meant to be he meant to switch it to a race mode. He stayed in basically the torque mode that is meant for the race starts. And it basically meant that on the exit of every corner, he just wasn't getting that oomph of power because I'm guessing the torque mode
throttle
for the start,
mapping, I think, as well.
Basically, the torque mode, I'm guessing, basically means that at the start, it tries to very cleverly boost the power in a way where there's not a lot of wheel spin off the private lights. Of course, you don't need that once you get going. You need just maximum power at your foot because obviously then that kind of gives you lag in a way of like you put the foot down and it kind of maps it wrong, and he had that the entire time. So
you can definitely notice like into the tunnel and on the pit straight how much he kept on blasting away.
He did well.
Every single
he
time.
did very well to kind of counteract that with late braking, some clever use maybe of overtake mode when he was really trying to hound Hamilton, and just generally, like Cal said, a very mature drive behind an even more mature drive of Hamilton's trying to nurse his tyres home. So. Yeah,
can we do one final shout out to the amazing Monaco TV directors once again?
Oh, mate.
For one day they'll lose their job.
We were 25 laps in. I tweeted out I was done with them.
They're so it's not. I mean, I get that the focus on the front runners fine. It's we've just had lap 1. We're like halfway through lap 1, and we've just cut to Christian Horner for no real reason at all. No reason.
No, mate. It was the Verstappen tries to overtake Hamilton. They touch. Let's follow the Haas car for half the shot.
Yeah, I didn't understand it at all. I mean, even the camera angle, I think, coming out. You know, everyone's like, oh, you can't get much closer than this, and it was a camera angle right on the barrier. Next to like where the Nouvelle chicane is, there was a man stood right in the way. I was like, whose bright idea was it to put a man in the way when there's two? Like, it was obviously the best angle of the weekend, and there's a man sat in the way.
Get him out the way.
I was like, are you mad? And go on.
Man in the way. The Perez situation.
Oh yeah,
yes.
That as well was scary.
How did that not get broadcast?
Oh
That's
my
scary.
God!
Did you see the angle from above?
No,
yeah.
I
that
saw the
one was scary because the marshal on the left, you know, the one that tried to cross the yellow line, he fell over. He actually ended up falling over.
Jesus.
If there was anyone else,
Jesus.
So
I mean, it's
scary.
rare you see that in Monaco.
That could have been a tragedy. That could have been 2 deaths. Like the guy who crossed the road just about made it, and then the guy before, like, good eye just to like halt himself and just let him go, and he was like right on the edge of the line as well.
That's the thing.
That was
pit exit. You're at full speed. You're not under yellow flag or safety
yeah,
car rules, so
of course.
Yeah,
it was
The on-ball was scary. The guy on the left was his foot was like so close, especially with his wider wings as well. It's like I'm thinking he's gonna rip his ankle off.
Yeah,
or something.
it was all round great stuff from Perez to slow a little bit, as much as he could in an F1 car. And then for those guys, they're very just lucky to have seen the car and actually made it through in both instances. So yeah, that was a little timely reminder. Still, the safety of the sport may be quite an all-time high, but things can still very much happen like that. And it's always it reminds you that the job the marshals do is always so like just crazy. Like they do it they volunteer, they show up, and they put their lives on the line to make sure everything's right.
Don't see that more at Monaco.
Yeah.
You see it like places like Canada.
We've seen it at places. I was about to say the race we're going to next. How many times 2011 did we see marshals falling over because it was so wet on the track and trying to clear debris when people crashed and stuff like that. But yeah, the last time I saw it in Monaco is probably never. Like I don't remember that we saw something like that for the marshals.
There was that incident in F2 where a car span at the Nouvelle chicane, and they were like, "How is there not a safety car here?" There's literally 6 marshals on the track trying to push a car, and if someone misses their brake zone into Nouvelle, they're going straight into that car and all their marshals. So.
All
mental stuff.
Yeah, well, that's the Monaco GP, and we'll kind of move this on. We talked a little bit, we mentioned a little bit about the Ferrari guys being a bit of disarray. Well, there's been some rumours, and I'll say rumours, big pinch of salt, because these are sort of like always sources coming out of Italy and whatnot, or sources coming out of someone's arse in the paddock, and so you just never know how much kind of backup you should put behind it. But the first rumour is Vettel. The rumours about him maybe retiring. We've had it before. We've had it last year. We had it kind of like, when's Vettel going to call it quits? And this again has come back through. Will Vettel retire at the end of this year maybe? Is he done with F1? If Ferrari can't give him a car to actually fully challenge, will he just call it quits? Because, I went on the F1 Word podcast and I said the same sort of thing. Like, Vettel did an interview with Sky, with Martin Brundle, and he said about not really caring about his legacy too much because he feels like in this day and age things move so fast. So he himself personally, he's not on social media. He doesn't really care too much what people are saying. He doesn't care about how he's remembered because as long as he remembers how he was, then he's fine with that. And so it kind of gave that vibe that if he was to retire, would kind of be fine with it. But at the same time, I also don't believe Vettel could retire at the end of this year. Maybe in 2-3 years' time, yeah, I could maybe see it happen. But I think this year is a bit too early, to be honest. What do you guys think?
I could see it happen maybe after next year, before the regulations come in, maybe.
Right,
Depends on
before
what the
2021.
regs are, whether you fancy racing in those cars, because what they say that the regulations will be and what they're actually going to be could be two different things.
Yeah, of course, yeah, massively.
So, if we're still in this dirty air Formula in 2021, then maybe you don't want to stay around. So, I guess we'll see. I don't personally believe it, even though I can understand it in a way. I still think he's got a lot more to give to F1, and
I would agree.
It doesn't make sense. People say like, "Oh, Leclerc's rustled his feathers," and in a way he kind of has, but in a way he hasn't because Vettel's like 30 points clear in the championship with him. Sure, if Bahrain had gone differently, it could have been a lot less, but Vettel would still be ahead. So he's not having that bad of a season to say like,
but the Ferrari car's just bad. So
exactly, it's
I think I agree with the 2 to 3 years because I do genuinely think that we could be in a scenario where Hamilton and Vettel would go off the grid at the same time, which would be weird scenario because, especially like for me, because that'd be their two drivers that have always been on the grid. Like no matter what, they've always been on the grid, and it'd be a bit peculiar. But I think Vettel's still. I think you can see with both Hamilton and Vettel, it's like they've both still got their targets. Vettel wants to win a world championship. I don't think Vettel's that bothered about the 7-time thing. I think Vettel's just more bothered about getting a world championship at a different team and with Ferrari. He was, and actually alluding to what you said, Arav, about that interview. He's still got that drive and belief. Like he's very rare that he gets dissuaded by people that he might not be able to get this championship with Ferrari. He's got this full belief still, and maybe it might not be this season, but I think he's still quite content to be on the grid for another 2-3 years. Because it's also that's very, very peculiar, but I'd like to see happen. Rumour about Hamilton going to Ferrari, which will be very interesting and if it were to happen, it would.
I could
be when
never
Vettel
pick
drops
Hamilton
off
in
the
the red
grid.
overalls.
I don't know, but I think it would it'd have such a weird impact on the F1 world.
It would have such a weird
impact. All these
impact
Ferrari
on
fans that have grown up hating Hamilton to the point when is it McLaren, when is it Mercedes, but now he's in their own car.
I think it would have a big impact on Ferrari themselves as a team, let alone their fans. The team itself, I feel like Hamilton, like not to say that Vettel doesn't have high expectations and standards, but I feel like if you had Hamilton coming to a team, he's won so many championships now, he would come in and be like, right boys, if you F up, this is all on you. Because we know it's not my issue, because you give me a car and I've done the job.
Do you know what? Do you know when you say that? It sounds like going back to when Niki Lauda
went to Ferrari,
where he goes,
tested.
"It's Ferrari, it's shit."
Yeah,
and I'm like, you can't say that. Well, yes, I can because I've got other cars that
doesn't matter. It's a Ferrari.
But
it's shit.
More back to the point. Yeah, that's just a stupid rumor. And to say I don't know where these rumors come out from in Italy because Vettel doesn't.
Well,
say
I
anything.
said at the time, we're discussing that, I said it's probably some guy at a coffee shop that's like having a coffee. He just said something to his mate, and a journalist literally just gone past like, oh, that's news. that's it. That Donny over there having his latte with 2 creams, talking to the guy next to him. That's got to be concrete evidence here. I don't know where these rumors come from. Obviously, Vettel, in recent interviews, he has looked very baffled all the time, confused, tired in a way, and just doesn't know what to say about the Ferrari situation. But I think, like you said, Cal, backing up that whole thing coming off the Sky interview, he's still very motivated, and he doesn't read a lot into the press and whatnot, and he just kind of looks in on himself. And I think, obviously, on the weekend, he would be a bit frustrated, but I'm pretty sure every time he goes away from the race weekend, he gets fired up again for the next one and gets excited for it. And it's just
only so many times you can answer the question, why are you so bad?
Exactly, yeah. And why is the car so bad? It's really now just up to kind of Ferrari to actually put in the work and get the car back up to standards, really. Because it doesn't matter how good the driver is. If the car's like, half a second off the pace, it's half a second off the pace. So that's that rumour done and buried. All three of us
stamped out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all three of us agreeing on the same sort of thing, basically. We had Porsche making a 2021 engine So that's intriguing. About we heard a lot of rumours last 2 years about maybe Porsche, Aston, someone else. I can't remember. There's probably a third manufacturer, maybe coming into the sport for 2021. That kind of got stamped out a little bit and kind of pushed down a little bit. But the fact that Porsche might have made an engine for the 2021 season's a little bit more intriguing. Of like, okay, could we see maybe Porsche not come in for 2021 then, but if they made an engine, maybe they're still going to look into it, maybe for a future year in F1, maybe 2023, maybe, I don't know.
This is a consequence of maybe the regs being pushed back all the time for 2021. I think if they'd been announced by now, you might have heard something. Because obviously they've done an engine, so they're prepared just in case.
Yeah.
If the regs satisfy them. But as time goes on, as we hear, the regs are looking more and more less likely to be what the prototype designs were drawn up to be. So we'll see. But I'd like it to happen. F1 needs a manufacturer.
I fully agree with that.
You think that Porsche should come as an actual works team, like a Porsche F1 team?
I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I could just see it being like Honda.
Like an engine supplier.
Maybe. Which again would also be interesting because it's still a manufacturer, which is good. It's not Cosworth.
True, yep.
But I would love to see Porsche as a team. Like that would. Yeah,
I mean it's a really really big motorsport brand. They're in so many other categories, so it would be kind of crazy. On that note, you mentioned the whole rule thing being pushed back. We haven't jotted it down here, but Avatar actually said literally I think 2 days ago or something that the rules for 2021, the deadline's June. He reckons, and it kind of seems like most people reckon that by June it's only going to be like 80% to 90% done and ratified. And so they will have to push it back even further.
God's sake.
Yeah, I mean...
You know what the problem is? It's like, we, on this podcast, we've just been like, yeah, it's alright. Races might be a bit wank now. But, 2021. We keep going, 2021. 2021. Even 2019 was like, alright, we're going to try and fix the front wings. They've not really done much. I mean, apart from maybe one Grand Prix, we've had actually been quite genuinely exciting. But I've blamed that more on Mercedes than the regs. It's quite interesting, actually. Did either of you two hear about what Adrian Newey said about the new rules?
No, I did not.
He basically just went, release them as late as possible, so that means Mercedes can't get a head start. They were just like, why don't you give us, 6 months and just come up with, a complete prototype, and you're not coming up with these millions of different concepts. It's literally one concept. You turn up at the Grand Prix and got to try and develop it.
Yeah, to be fair, also that would also make reliability an issue, and that could spice things up because right now we have so much bulletproof reliability that it's.
I don't think reliability though is something I want to be. I'd like to be changing with because I actually quite like the fact that there's we're only at 20 cars at the minute. You have a 3-car incident, that's 17, especially when you're actually at a Grand Prix. You remember Spa last year when we went to go watch. It felt like there was no cars. I mean, I know Spa's a long circuit. But it just felt like there weren't many cars on the track, and that's because there weren't
true.
After the start line incident. So
I mean, it depends definitely on the circuit, because when we went to Silverstone, that's a better circuit to kind of see the...
Yeah, exactly.
You kind of see the cars from afar, and you can kind of get that picture of, there's an actual
get more of it. But no, I agree with what Newey says, but then also there is a counter-argument. If the regs were released earlier, then you would have Porsche coming onto the grid, and it would be really nice to have another manufacturer, because I mean Renault aren't stirring much up recently.
No,
Ferrari are dropping off. Mercedes are bulletproof.
Renault are a yellow wet sock.
Yeah, exactly. And Alfa aren't fully a manufacturer. They're still pretty much branded as Sauber, and they're starting to drop off in recent races. So we do need another manufacturer. But then again, I think the best route for a manufacturer, I mean, God bless them, but buying out a team such as Williams. I mean, it's usually the way to go forward when it comes.
Do you really want to buy shit?
I know, but in the same way that
I'm being absolutely honest. I think you could do better off to start from the ground up. To be honest with you.
No, but it's in there's no point in building a load of new factories and getting in a load of new staff. You can buy in.
Yeah, I see
you
what
can add more stuff. There's no point in all of that. Lotus and HRT and Virgin, or as they were.
Marussia.
What were they called? Marussia, that was it. They all did that, and then they just basically blew all their money on building factories and buildings and stuff, and then they were redundant by 3 years later, 3, 4, 5 years later. So I don't think it's sensible, but it would be nice, and it's good to see that there's been at least a spark to have a manufacturer on the grid, or at least get another engine manufacturer. But even still, to say that everyone's just gone, oh yeah, by the way, Porsche made an engine, they're not coming in. It's a bit of a slap in the face for F1, don't you think?
Yeah, it's like, again, a cock tease like Monaco. It's just sort of like, oh, what? Okay, cool.
This is what you could have had if you were a bit better.
Yeah, coulda. Yeah, there's a lot of.
It's like going, this supermodel, you could be dating her if you weren't so buttered. Basically, what I'm trying to say.
That's actually a really great analogy for F1. F1's two butters. That's.
It's very simple, and we've kind of alluded to it in this season. Liberty really need to be a little bit more nasty.
Also, we three have said it time and time again. Stop teams interfering with the rule making. They shouldn't be part of the rules.
Exactly.
The F1.
Just do what you got.
I think I literally had a rant about this at the end of a podcast once against you two, and I was like, and you two just like let me go, and I said it for like 10 minutes of like, just
let you go again,
yeah, just well, I'll say it quickly, just one sentence of like F1 just need to go like, this is the formula, you enter it or not. Basically.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying about that. They have to be more harsh, more nasty, more.
Definitely.
This is what we're doing, and if you don't like it, I'm very sorry, but this is what we're going
Literally,
for.
just get the foot down. But you mentioned Williams being utterly horrendous. Well, there's talk about them having a B-spec car essentially for mid-season. Wouldn't go amiss because their current car fundamentally is horrendous. I mean, they're being slower at most GPs, if not all of them, compared to last year. I don't know. Maybe they're faster this year because of the whole strapping on a new tyre midway through the race. But every other Grand Prix, their car has been slower than last year's car, whereas everyone else's car has sped up. So they need to do something. And B-spec cars have worked in the past, obviously. Force India, good case in point. Just simply put, do you guys reckon a B-spec car would actually do much for Williams? Do you have a lot of faith? No? Yes?
I mean, they need to start scoring some points sometime soon. Otherwise,
actually, that's the question. Do you think Williams will actually score a point this season?
It needs to be a shit show of a Grand Prix.
So, like, multiple DNFs.
Soggy race.
I think that worsens their chances, to be honest.
Yeah, but it just comes down to on track. You know, if you just keep the car on track, you can get a lot of things to go away.
Which Russell has been doing quite well. It would be Russell if they do score points, because Kubica has been like consistently 3 to 5 tenths off at least.
Yeah,
so
he's struggling.
I mean,
do we think there's
it's so hard with Williams because like
I don't think they'll score points. But
the problem is as well is like, is there any point in them making a B-spec car? But is there if they push their B-spec car out to next year, what's the point in delaying it because this season's a test season?
Well, maybe it might be a good thing for them in terms of seeing if the B-spec works, because then they can, we can build on this next year instead of just waiting until next year. And what if the B-spec doesn't work like this year, and they're like, okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point.
So at this point, they just got to throw as much shit against the wall and see what sticks, basically. So I think they should bring it. I don't think they'll score points, but the deficit is clearly there. There's a solid 1 second they need to make up to the nearest car at every track. So it'd be good. I think Russell, if they found a second, and on a funny day like Singapore 2017, Russell maybe could score a point at Singapore or something like that.
I don't think they can be finding second.
You're really clutching straws here.
Yeah, that's very much clutching straws.
I think they could find a second. I think that's feasible considering their past two cars. That's not out there. It's not time that it's not lap time they've never achieved before. So
they have got a whole grid to kind of, copy off.
As well.
Me and Aaron have joked about it. They can literally they might as well just get a 2017 car, slap a halo on it, some 2019 front and rear wings, and surely that'd be quicker than this car. Like the 2017 car's still done bits. It's the fastest car they've had in the last 3 years. So
you can't really put much past it, to be honest. It's very peculiar.
Bit of
I'm sure they've got one. Well, hasn't Massa got it?
Felipe.
Yeah, I know we gifted you a car, but can you just give the gift back?
Give it back. We need to race it. That's I think that might be the problem they have, to be honest.
Give it back.
Bit of WD-40 on the brake calipers and dust it off a little bit, and then job done. Off you go.
I think it's sensible for them to have a B-spec because as well they need to be able to compare with the rest of the field, which as much as doing their own testing whenever or doing it on like test days and stuff, you need to see what it's like against the competition. But at this point now, they've got free range to go, right, the concept that we're going with, do we go the Mercedes route or do we go the Ferrari route? Obviously, if you've got any brains, you'd go the Mercedes route. So just copy the Mercedes, get the the tracing paper out. I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can trace around the edges.
There's going to be a man with a clipboard up and tracing paper. Look, he's just
I've got like a vision of like someone just like running up to the Mercedes in Parc Ferme and just etching around the edges, like just getting a picture.
I've got a picture of someone holding up tracing paper on like Catalonia, watching the F1 car come down to turn 1, and he quickly tries to trace it every lap.
Freeze frame.
Gone in a flash.
Done.
Yeah.
I love it.
Funny thing is, even then, like it seems like people do seem to be copying Ferraris. Everyone's got the Ferrari style front wing. No one's got the Mercedes style front wing. McLaren recently.
Even Red Bull are starting to go towards that sort of
Toro
concept.
Rosso, Alpha. They all seem to have that swooping down wing. So either everyone's done on Mercedes are really clever, or there is something there with Ferraris when they just can't seem to maximise it. So
I don't think it's the wing. I think it's more to do with the rest of the car. I think Ferrari fundamentally are just behind on Mercedes. You can kind of see that with the little tidbits here and there. But I won't bore you to death with it. But yeah, it just I don't think the wing obviously matters a lot. But I think the concept's good enough. It's kind of just the entire package isn't good. I think it'd be kind of being kind to Ferrari by saying it's just the front wing. I think there's a lot of things wrong with that
sad
car.
though, really, because like as much as we talk about aero this year and like concepts, because obviously there are two very like black and white concepts when it comes to this front wing and everything. It's quite interesting because no one really talks about it because it's the tyres instead. It's like how the car works the tyres rather than just how the car works the air. But it's almost a little bit sad because it's this black art that we can't. As much as aerodynamics you can't see, you can see the wings. Whereas when it comes to tyres and drivers fighting, because like Vettel saying in the race that he could barely get his tyres warm enough to attack Verstappen in front, which is a little bit sad when you think about it because we, like as a viewer, we can't really understand it. I mean, I struggle to understand it now, the fact that there's only a 3-degree temperature window where these tyres work. It's a bit peculiar, especially when you watch the races like the Indy 500. They're not complaining about tyres.
That works in tandem with the car as well, to be honest. Like in terms of like, you know, the car will affect how it treats his tyres. So that falls back to the aero in a way. But yeah, obviously, like you said, like unlike the F1 game, you can't see a heads-up display of the tyre temps for each car and see what's going on there. I mean, that would be bloody cool if you could do, but the teams would never allow it because that's such important info.
Yeah, it's crucial.
Really crucial info. But I mean, good chats about that in terms of like the way the car development race has been going. And obviously Canada is going to be an important one. Canada's always been a place where teams generally bring a lot of different upgrades, you know, definitely engine upgrades. We've seen Mercedes once again go about this engine upgrade that's going to get them to 1,000 horsepower. They've said it a few years now, but apparently this next upgrade is going to be 20 horsepower, which will finally get them over 1,000, which will be pretty mad.
Mad.
And yeah, down Canada, that'll be very, very handy. And so yeah, let's preview it and talk about it. Now, Canada, the last 2 seasons has not been a thriller. We've not even had a podcast for Canada the last 2 seasons because I've been in LA both times. This time I won't be, so we can actually do a podcast. I'm sort of hoping that means it will be a good race. If not, I'm sorry, lads, I've jinxed it completely.
Yeah, you're gonna end up ruining it. Should we all join hands and pray?
Yeah, let's all. Yeah,
good.
Actually, wait, you know what? I'm gonna put my left hand that way towards Tom's screen. I'm gonna put one hand down to Cal's screen. And I'm going to pretend like I'm holding your hands. Right, let's just pray a little bit for Canada.
I don't know where I'm going, but I'm just going to...
You're going to put your right hand to the right of you, and Cal will put your right hand above you.
Right.
and we're going to hope and pray Canada is a good one. I hope I figured that out in the editing. I hope that I'm correct in my head about the editing.
I think you're right there.
I think I'm right. I think I'm right.
I'm not... The expectation for me is low. I'm going to just
say...
I mean, we've had 6 ball fests. Why would we get?
Yeah, true. I think it's gonna be a Mercedes whitewash, isn't it, lads? I think.
Yeah, and let's not kid ourselves.
Let's predict the midfield first because that'll be more interesting.
Yes, let's do that.
Because Formula 1.5 has been really good this season, and
Formula 1.5 technically is Red Bull and Ferrari at the minute.
Formula 2 has been good.
I know, but we can't straight into Formula 2. That's an offence on Formula 2 because Formula 2 has been really good this season.
We've got Formula 1.75.
I was going to say Formula 1.3 quarters.
And then you've got then Williams is 1.999 recurring.
I think you're fine. Sorry, Williams is Formula 2.1.
Was it a step behind F2?
It's probably
races.
I would rather drive a Formula 2 car than a Williams car.
Probably.
Right, let's go with better rest then from P6 downwards.
We'll get quality out of the way first.
Okay, we'll do pole. Pole will be easy. Hamilton.
Is it? I don't know.
Hamilton.
We got Bottas. He needs to bounce back.
Bottas.
Okay. poll is done. Let's go to the bottom, outside top 5, 6 and below. What are we saying?
Best of the rest qualifier. I'm gonna say 7th and below because 6th would be Gasly probably.
Hopefully.
7th. I'm gonna stick in. I'm gonna go Sainz. I thought McLaren could work at Canada again. It's the kind of track that seems to suit their car. Big long straights, draggy straights. So I'm gonna say Sainz P7.
It's so peculiar actually thinking about how Sainz did so well at Monaco. Bearing in mind they came off the last race saying that we're really good in straight line.
I think they did a bit of. I read something about they kind of used Norris because he wasn't doing much. They used him as a bit of a sacrificial lamb to try and get Sainz higher up.
Oh, yeah, no, they did definitely play a team game really well. They teed up really nicely. It was good.
The suicide, take one for the team, classic.
The Ferrari special.
Well, I don't know because they can't do a good strategy.
No, they can't. They used
to be the Ferrari special.
Yeah, not anymore. Go on, Tom.
It's tricky. Sainz, I'll go Magnussen because he's been more or less consistent in qualifying at least with the Haas. So Sainz, Magnussen. I'm gonna say Alpha need to bounce back, so I'll stick Raikkonen in there for that would be P9 and P10. I think Perez might nick it.
Right.
It's fair. Racing Point could go quite well around there.
Or Norris. I don't know.
You've already said you're done.
Norris P10. Norris P10.
You've already confirmed that as your final answer.
You've already confirmed it.
I didn't lock it in.
You've locked it in. There's no lock-in system. You just say it's done.
It's not Who Wants to Be a Millionaire here.
Yeah, go on.
I'm gonna have to agree with Sainz. I think Sainz will probably be best of the rest. I'll be interested to see what Renault do this weekend.
Completely forgot about them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Renault. That's the problem with the midfield. You do forget about the odd team. I mean, even with
I don't think Renault would go well around Canada. I mean,
I'm trying to throw Ricciardo in.
The only reason Ricciardo went well around Monaco is because it's Ricciardo and Monaco. I think it was all him and not the car.
I'm going to put a Sainz, and the thing is as well, Tom, you didn't even factor in Toro Rosso, who have been ace recently.
No, but Monaco was very good.
Very good. I'll throw a Sainz, and I'll throw in a Magnussen, then I'll throw in a Norris and an Albon.
See, if you talk to Rosso, Kvyat's been the one in form lately.
I'm going to go with obviously 6 Gasly, 7. I'll go with Kevin Magnussen. I'll go then Sainz in P8. P9, I'm going to say, let's chuck in a, who's there in the midfield left? Racing Point. Yeah, we'll go with Perez, P9. And P10, I'll go with Kvyat and Toro Rosso. Nice mixed bag in quali. Really mixed bag in quali.
Mix that bitch up.
Right, yeah. And then the race time. What are we saying?
Well, I want Bottas to win it because the championship otherwise is going to start slipping away already. So Bottas, please. Hamilton second. I'm going to give, because it's a power circuit, I feel like Ferrari should be okay.
Right, yeah. Should.
I'll give Vettel the benefit of the doubt and I'll give him third place. I'll give Leclerc P4, Verstappen 5th, Gasly 6th. I'm going to hold on to Sainz for P7.
Yep.
Haas are funny, so I'm going to say Albon. No, Kvyat. Albon. No. I'll say Kvyat, P8. Raikkonen holds on to 9th and Norris 10th.
Alright. Callum, you want to go?
Who's the better driver on the rear tyres, Hamilton or Bottas? Because it is a rear limited circuit.
It's a Mercedes, I'm sure they'll find a way around it.
I feel like Bottas would be better on the tyres maybe around Canada, but also I don't know. I think Hamilton and Canada are a good combo
in his game.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing that we're coming off the back of Monaco where Hamilton was brilliant on his tyres, so...
Hamilton doesn't have a flaw in his game. I said to Aarava after the podcast, he didn't lock up once at Monaco after 78 laps. Not once.
That's true.
He hasn't got a flaw in his game at the minute. He's untouchable.
Apart from his qualifying game, which has slightly slipped more recently. I'll put Hamilton and Bottas 1-2. We'll put Leclerc on the podium just because I feel like I'd like to see him bounce back. A Vettel, Verstappen, Gasly. It could be very 2x2 at the front, and then I'm gonna big up the McLarens here. I'm gonna go Sainz, Norris, and then I think we might see a Renault might sneak in. I think the Haas's might drop off again. So we'll go Sainz, Norris, Kvyat, Ricciardo.
All right, I'm going to go with Hamilton win, Bottas second. Go with Vettel gets third. I'm going to go with Verstappen, though, P4, Leclerc P5. Gasly P6, 7.
Poor Gasly.
I reckon Magnussen might be. I reckon Magnussen will keep that. Actually, let's say they don't have an off race. So
the number one Haas hater is actually going to back them to stay.
Yeah. I know, mate. I know it's crazy. Magnussen P7, Sainz P8, P9 Norris recovers from maybe a knockout in Q2 in quali, and then P10. Let's say. Ooh,
Can't get Russell.
That put me off so much. I'm going to say Kvyat. Let's say Kvyat keeps it in P10 there. And it's a bit of a backwards one for the Racing Point car, Perez.
Let's just hope.
Yeah, I mean,
we're due a good race.
I'm not saying.
I mean, bloody hell, I've been paying.
Don't say that.
Actually, can I just point out to the members of the world?
Yes, we go out to the world.
Now TV,
members.
they've put it up to $8.99 a day pass. I was like, you know what, Monaco, because just because the Indy 500 was on last week, I paid £8.99 to watch the Monaco Grand Prix and the Indy 500. All I'm saying is I'm glad the Indy 500 was a bloody brilliant race because Monaco as good as it was, did almost put me to sleep still. And I paid $8.99 for bloody Baku as well. I want my money back. Just saying.
And on that note, we'll end it off there. We'll end it off there. Guys, if you have enjoyed the podcast, then be sure to hit that like button. Let us know what you thought in the comments below about any of that. If you're on your around here, you get subscribe to this channel for the podcast. Check out these two on Twitter. Links have been on the screen the entire time, as well as the links to our audio site. So obviously you can get us on the go if you do like on SoundCloud, Spotify, and iTunes. And if you do like what we're doing around here, you can support us directly either on Patreon. There's a link in the description. Or also if you want to get yourself a racing chair or a desk chair for your setup to game on or just work on whatever at home, you can check out GT Omega and use the code PitlaneF1 there, and that directly helps out as well. So if you like what we're doing around there, that's a way you can support us as well, as on top of just watching the video already. But yeah, we'll see you guys for the instant race reaction for the Canadian GP, and then an actual podcast for Canada for the first time in 3 years. So look forward to that. Hopefully it's not a dud. Let's all again cross the fingers. We already did a bit of praying earlier. Let's cross the fingers.
I'm reaching out. I'm reaching out right now.
Okay, I'll reach out again. Do that. Okay, we're reaching out again, and we're going to end it off like this. And we'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Goodbye.
Bunch of messes, I swear.
Oh, dreary me. I think we start losing our minds, lads.